be as brief as I can, but I can talk all. Everybody knows me, know that I can talk all day. Never have a paragraph or a sentence, and never get to a comma. I was born and reared in Talladega, Alabama. And if the Lord let me see September the 13th, I will be 18 years old. And I'm so glad that somebody from Perry County came to tell the truth, as I'm going to do in a minute.
Come on.
Because you know what? The film, thank you all, and thank Oprah and everybody else, but when I went and I got a chance to see that Jimmie Lee died that night, it bothered me. Jimmie Lee lived 8 days.
Come on.
And I am the nurse, the only black RN at the Good Samaritan Hospital when they brought Jimmie Lee in.
Tell it.
And I would never forget Mr. Albert Turner Sr. And for a long time being the nurse, I didn't go out those, you know. I knew he was coming in. They had called us and told us about the riot and all in Marion. And we would be getting a young man that was shot. I had no idea, believe it or not, until maybe a few years ago that Jimmie Lee didn't come with Mr. Hampton in the ambulance. I knew Mr. Albert Turner was there and some other men, but when you come into the emergency room, you know, it was small. All of you know about Good Samaritan, so you couldn't, you know, wasn't a lot of them. He came in and brought it. He was in so much pain, just so much pain. And it was just really sad. It really was. And when he came in, he was all, you know, bent over from when we put him in the second stall. We had 4 of them. And I pulled up his shirt. And on the left side was a pieces of intestines, about the size of a medium grapefruit, sticking out. Not real bloody, but the blood was coming from the child's head. He had a laceration on his head, and that laceration was about 2 inches long, and it was bleeding. And I said to him, I said, well, you're going to be all right, and I'm always so positive, all of you that know me. I know I'm the best nurse God ever created. I know. I lived it, and I still do. Anyway, I said, you're going to be all right. And he said, no, ma'am, I'm not. And you know, it bothers me to this day. That's one of the things that bothers me, how I encouraged him the whole week at night. I worked 11 to 7. So I was on every night, never late for work. I thought that was the best job I'd ever had. And Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. And I remember like yesterday, it was Thursday night, February 18th, 1965 at 11:40 p.m. when they brought Jimmie Lee to the Good Samaritan. I understand that he had gone to jail. I think she was talking about how they drug him and they put him in jail on the floor in Perry County, is what I was told. Handcuffed that child. And he bleeding and his intestine, I said gut, because we all know what gut is. Intestines hanging out. And then they brought him, Mr. Turner, I don't know how they got him, but they brought him to the hospital. They took chances. Now, when you think about it, and all of you know a little about medicine, we all do, how do you think he wouldn't have got infected? In a car, on the back seat, 30-some miles, on the floor, in a jail, and all of that hanging out. How come he wouldn't have been infected? There's no antibiotic in that day that would have saved him. Now I know. I didn't know then, but now I know. And kept, you know, it's the thing that, and Dr. William Dinkin, he's gone on, most of them have. I'm still alive, thank God. He came in right away and treated Jimmie Lee. And I'm going to show you, hold this for me, Charles. I've got, and I know you love it, and so do I. This is 51 years of age. This is the Good Samaritan nurse's note that I wrote in my fine handwriting. 51 years ago, last Thursday, but this year, Thursday, the 18th, was on a Thursday night, and that day I had a time, Joanne, thank you for asking me to make sure I come. But it bothered me because it was a Thursday night when it happened. And this is the nurse's note. I'm gonna read it before I get through, because it's getting so nice, hard to, but I want you to know, this is the law. And you know how Good Samaritan was, because some of you were born there, my children were. And you know, we had a composition book. That's what we wrote in. And I'm gonna tell you how much he charged him that night. All of that's on this note. Just what I told you, how much intestines, what it was, and how it was. We admitted him, we done x-ray, we admitted him. Dr. Dinkins operated on Jimmie Lee. And the next morning, I was off. He was still kind of drowsy. I said, I'll see you Sunday night. He said, yes, ma'am. That night, Jimmie Lee told me just what had happened. Said he went into the cafe to take care and check on his mother and his 82-year-old granddaddy.
Just turn, you come up a little.
Go ahead. Okay.
Turn the speaker that way a little bit.
All right.
Okay.
This way?
Just keep coming straight.
Okay.
Just
All right.
That's good.
Okay.
And then just turn, okay. And then turn the speaker that way a little bit.
This way?
No, you good. Just do it.
Be kind.
Okay.
She should be fine now.
Yeah.
All right. He said they had state troopers, they were beating him. And I went in to check on my mother, who wouldn't have, and my granddaddy, because the granddaddy was old, and I went in to check. And he told me then they just attacked, state trooper attacked him. He did not know any name, and beat me and shot me. Now, the laceration on his head, from what I heard this morning from all of you that really was there, probably came from, when they hit him outside. I'm not sure of that. So we sutured that night in the emergency room before we took him to the OR. And he told me about his 4-year-old little girl. And I said, oh, I got one 4-year-old too. Told me about the service, and he had fought for us and all, and he was gonna keep on doing what he could, because that's what Dr. King wanted him to do, and all of us to do. We talked about it, and on Monday night when I went back, he was asleep when I got there at 11. I made rounds. Over in the morning, I went back because we had to give him something else for pain. And and I said, hi. He told me Mama and Dad, everybody had been up. Mama and Granddad and one from Mary and all, they'd been to see about him. He told me that. We shared some things, and he said to me, but I'm still hurting so bad, and I'm still so sick. I said, but you're gonna be all right, I promise you. Every day, I promised him that he was gonna be all right, and I just knew he would. So, Tuesday night, same thing. Wednesday night, he was getting sicker, and he had some temperature and all, and I was still assuring Jimmie Lee, you're gonna be all right. He said to me, and shook his head, he said, no. And it was amazing how, I was never there during the day, it was always night. And I see you later, I see you tonight when I come in. And we talked and we enjoyed each other. He shared with me how he was trying to get people to vote in Perry County. He was going to do all he could, he wanted us. And that was one of the things that has bothered me still too. How he told us, make sure you all keep doing what you're doing. It was like, I know I'm going to be with the Lord, but you all keep on. But I did not think he was going to be with the Lord. I really didn't. I thought he would be all right. When Jimmie Lee died, Jimmie Lee went back to surgery, if some of you didn't know. And this time when Jimmie Lee went back was in the morning of the 8th day when he passed away. And when Jimmie Lee went back to surgery, I wasn't there, but I was told that before he went in surgery, he told me that he wouldn't make it. I was told that. And the young lady told me, not at the time because she knew how upset I was, but this is later in years, said they wanted me dead. You just don't know. Now he told somebody that I cannot say because we don't know. But she said to me, but don't you all ever stop. I want you to continue. And I want to say this morning before I read this nurse's note, I was so glad this week to go to Mary, and some of it said you saw me on TV, and I can talk about it all day because I'm so glad that I was there. And my mother was cute when I went to Jimmie Lee's funeral at Brown Chapel. How many of you knew that Jimmie Lee had 2 funerals? He had 2 funerals. And we need to tell our children the truth about it. The first funeral was at Brown Chapel Church. And who knows who officiated? No? That's where they messed up again. The one that officiated, especially you all from Perry County, was the late Dr. L.L. Anderson of the Tabernacle Baptist Church. And he done some eulogy for him that day. And on the footage of NBC somewhere, if we ever see it again, you will see me talking to his mother at the funeral. I stopped and talked to her on the end of the bench there. And my mama saw me. God, you're gonna get killed down there. You don't know what you're doing. I thought about it when one of them said, but you know, I was never afraid. I never thought anybody was gonna bother me. I knew what I was doing, and I know when I finished Grady Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, and UAB later on, that I knew how to do what I had to do. And I thank God that I'm a part of Jimmie Lee. Now, I have stood up for him when others maybe won't. I wish his daughter would. I've got a photo of Jimmie Lee. I mean, a nice one, as Georgia don't believe it. It's a fine photo. And there is a black calendar for Alabama. I wish I had the copies. We don't. We had a few. And Joanne Bland is in it, and Jimmie Lee Jackson is in it. And I went for the unveiling. Charles was there. We had a lay paid for us. We had a good time in Birmingham. And let me tell you, it is something to behold. AT&T sponsors a Black Alabama calendar. A Black Alabama. I hope y'all can get a copy. I don't have any more. And it is fine. And December is Jimmie Lee's birthday. And I had to sign, oh Charles, I mean, 350 more that night when they unveiled it, and then they get Joanne's in it. I want you to read her story. And I want you to read Jimmie Lee's story. And I am the one, if y'all didn't know, after 42 years, in June 7th of 2009, that testified in Mary. I am the one that testified. That got James Fowler only, 5.5 months?
Right.
Everybody complaining. But if you think about it, who came forward to try to do anything about it? Nobody but the DA, Michael Jackson, and I applaud him for doing it. When he asked me and found out that I was there, everybody else is dead or afraid, I went and talked. I went to Marion, and I've lost my leg, some of you know, in a freak accident 24 years ago. But you know what happened when I went to Marion? They brought the grand jury down to me.
What you said?
I could go upstairs, they brought it downstairs in the courthouse. I wish I had a picture of it. And I testified. Just like I'm doing today, I remember it like it happened yesterday. Because it was something in life that I always know, and I want all of you to tell your children. I have been a voter a long time. Mr. Brown, that lived right here on Lapson, was the one signed when I got a chance to vote in Dallas County. I don't miss voting. I was in Washington the other week, but I had voted 2 weeks before time. I don't miss it. I don't miss amendments. I don't miss anything. So I want all of you to tell your children, the older ones of us gonna vote, but it's the young folks. We really got to tell them to go vote, because that's the only way we're gonna not get Trump for our president. All right. I want you to know I love you, and whenever you need me, just call me. But I'm gonna read this nurse's note, and I'm gonna be through, y'all. Okay. Hold it while I read. And this is what it says on the nurse's note. And if you notice, it's in red. And the reason, when you work in a hospital or as a nurse, years and years ago, 11 to 7 nurse wrote in red, The 7 to 3 nurse wrote in blue, and the 3 to 11 nurse wrote in green.
Okay.
That's how you can tell the difference. It says date, and it was a composition book. And if you want to go read the original, it is in the museum up at Depot Museum. I understand they sell them, but I don't. I'm not going to sell my notes. But they gave it to me, so I have to keep it. It says date to 1865. On the left, it says Dr. Dinkin. And then it says address, Route 3, Box 37. Marion, Alabama, and the time 11:55 p.m. He got there about 11:50, but I wrote this that time. Complaint: gunshot wound of abdomen noted. That's me. Saying hole in left side of his abdomen. Laceration, that's cut on the head, on the back of head, approximately 2 inches long. Then it said how it happened. Left mass meeting at a church in Marion, Alabama, and went to a cafe. Now, he didn't tell me it was Max, but I learned that later. And officers and audience from the meeting, they were in a riot with others. And the officers and audience from the meeting, same meeting. This is what diagnosis, this is where it says laceration on head with sutures with 100 sip. And the next thing is treatment. Dr. Dinkin was notified. I called Dr. Dinkin, and he came in and examined per se, which means Dr. Dinkin. Then right below that it says medication. Listen to this. This is gonna blow your mind. Morphine sulfate 1/4 grain. Atropine grain 1/150 was given at 12:20 a.m. by me. And the cost is in little writing in blue. And sisters put this in the next day. We couldn't collect it. $5 for the emergency room fee, $1 for the suture, and 50 cents for the drug. That's something to behold it. All right, and right below that says, what happened? X-ray of the abdomen. Now this is when he was in so much pain, and we had to hold him. He had to have a flat, which means his body had to be stretched out completely, which was hard for him. Flat and upright. We had to sit him up for him to do it because he was on the left side. And that was what we done, and got the x-ray. And when we took him the x-ray, and then we admitted, and of course, as I said earlier, he went on to surgery from that. They called in the nurses, operating room nurses, Miss Perry and Lee McDaniel. Those were the nurses. They all gone now. And down there it says Nurse E.J. Booker, RN. That's me. And right above that, how many of you know, I call her Bessie Hauser, that lived on Church Street? She was born in Redhead. Little Bet was in the emergency room with me. And they could not sign their name, so I put her name right above her. She didn't even know herself that this was until I gave her a copy of it. She was a little LP, and that was my helper that night. When they brought, and Jimmie Lee talked to her about a lot of things, because she worked night and day, because she was in training, and had just finished. So this is the original, and what has really, since I've gotten this and had time to study it, Charles, it's amazing. You all wouldn't believe it. That was the only patient we had that night.
Wow.
The only one. I read below that is from Lula Christian, which was the next day, the next night. The only person that came in that night was Jimmie Lee to the emergency room. So God knew what he was doing here. So God bless you. It has just been good to go and talk about it and really tell the truth. And last week when I was in Maryland, I had a chance to go to my granddaughter by Zandra, which just finished Howard, BS and a master's, and got a job 2 weeks after she finished in May. And my darling grandbaby is 24 years old now. And believe it or not, she is the speech pathologist for the rich county up there. What is it? In Maryland. Prince George County. For the school. And I had an opportunity to go to the school. And I had a lot of children. I mean, standing room only in the cafeteria. Around 300 with parents and children. And I had a chance to tell the story. And a lot of those children, they were all different nationalities, had seen the film Selma. And they were so glad for me to straighten it out about his death.
That's right.
And about what really happened and somebody that really knew. Because they all knew he died that night. And he did not die that night.
Wow.
So when you get a chance, tell them that the lady that was there said he died 8 days later. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Mrs. Booker. You know, at the expense of overspending our stay here,